Seniors, welcome to class night. I'm so proud of you and your achievements. Class of 2020, you did it, all 93 of you. Some of you may be wondering what it means to graduate in the time of COVID-19. What will this mean for you? I'm confident that despite the challenges, you have emerged stronger than ever. In fact, I think that there are three key attributes that, because of the pandemic, you now have in real abundance, and probably more than other graduating classes. Those traits are resilience, self-knowledge, and creativity. Tonight, I want to talk to you about each of them, and I want to share some of the insights I've learned in my life. Resilience. You have faced your fair share of challenges, and you have bounced back. Your classes went online, sports were canceled, social events taken off the table, no graduation parties. All those things went away, and you looked in the mirror and said, okay, I can do this. The resilience you have shown by adapting to your circumstances, making the best of the hand you were dealt, is a really powerful quality. Life will have lots of ups and downs, and bouncing back is a gift. I know that I wouldn't be where I am today without resilience. Let me tell you a quick story.
Yeah, Daddy, here's your tea.
Oh, thanks, Vera.
You're welcome.
That is not green tea. What is this swill? This is like Earl Grey or chamomile. This is garbage. I cannot stand for this, and this will not give me the caffeine and the antioxidant boost that I need. Now more than ever. Should I just give up? What? This is useless. What's the point? Scrap this. We're done. We're done. Come on. Okay, sorry about that. My speech is ruined, but let's move on. In addition to resilience, the second trait you all have in abundance now is self-knowledge. Lots of hours thinking at home, reflecting on who you are, what kind of son or daughter you want to be, what type of classes mean the most to you, and what you really miss and want to do after we get past social distancing. You have learned so much about yourselves, and you should be proud. VQV, it's the cornerstone of our social and emotional practice at KO. Self-knowledge is just so important, and it will take you far. I know it has for me. Okay, let me come back to that story now. When I was in Sweden 3 years ago, competing in the World's Strongest Man competition, Hafthor Bjornsson, you probably know him as the Mountain from Game of Thrones. I call him Baby Bjorn. He came up to me and he was a little intimidated by me, as people are, and he said, Dan, I just have to ask, how do you get your biceps so huge and defined? And I said, Bjorny, it's really because I know myself and I know what I'm good at. I just happen to be the world's best practitioner of extreme weight bicep curls, and I know myself well enough to say that honestly. He just walked away shaking his head, happy for the free advice.
Can you open the peanut butter?
He never lifted weights again, by the way. Yeah, sure, no problem, Cyrus. That's... these kids and their trick jars. Thanks, Cyrus. That was funny. That was a good joke. Anyway, the third trait you have a lot of now is creativity. The pandemic has imposed so many limitations on your lives that you've been forced to get creative. Indeed, like a chess master pinned in a tricky position who devises a stunningly original escape, you have made imaginative leaps of your own during this time. Many of you have started writing songs, or baking new types of bread, or making silly TikTok videos. Your imagination has flourished. This will undoubtedly improve your life. Creativity will keep your ideas fresh, allow you to burst out of the conventional ruts we fall prey to, and also delight your friends and family. Creativity is indeed the spark of life. I know that creativity has really flowered for me in the past few months. I've started writing poems, and in fact, I wrote one for you, class of 2020. I'm hoping you want to hear it. In keeping with the theme of creativity, please know that everything in here is 100% original and the product of my imagination alone. Okay, I hope you like my own personal art. This poem is called Let's Get Real. You are somebody that I don't know, but you're taking shots at me like it's Patron. And I'm just like, damn, it's 7 a.m. Say it in the street, that's a knockout. But you say it in a tweet, that's a cop-out. And I'm just like, hey, are you okay? Don't text me, tell it straight to my face. Best friend sat me down in the salon chair. Shampoo press, get you out of my hair. Fresh photos with the bomb lighting. New man on the Minnesota Vikings. Truth hurts, needed something more exciting. I'm going to take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm going to ride till I can't. No more. Keo, Keo. Let's get real. That's it, class of 2020. I hope you enjoyed my original poem called Let's Get Real. And all joking aside, I am so very proud of you for your resilience, your self-knowledge, and your creativity. You have achieved so much in a challenging time, and I congratulate you all for that. And now, sit back and have a wonderful class night.
What's going on, Wyvern Nation? Your MCs of the night, Wes.
Bella.
Coming at you not live, but from whenever you click on this link on YouTube, because we can't do it live and in person, sadly, because of COVID and whatnot. But I hope everybody's staying safe, staying healthy. And so looking back on senior year, looking back on KO a little bit, this was my 5th year. This was your fourth?
Fourth year.
This was your 4th year, so we're a little bit of veterans in the KO community. And so one thing I thought that would be good to talk about is the KO core values, because those are going to carry on with hopefully everyone.
I plan on taking them to college.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well, right? But bringing them to college. But I think we should talk about them a little bit. So, what is your what is one that comes to your mind when you first think about the KO core values?
When I first think of one, I think about learning with passion and perseverance. That definitely is one that is very vibrant in the KO community.
Yep.
Every kid who goes to KO is very passionate about their studies, but it brings me back to our freshman year on the New York Met trip.
Okay.
It taught me how to persevere because I just remember everybody being completely lost in the science museum.
Yep.
And just looking for all the stuff for their projects and not knowing where they are. The maps were kind of inaccurate.
Yeah.
And it was just completely atrocious. We were all lost. We all wanted to make sure we had these photos for our projects because as soon as we didn't, our grades would just tank.
Yeah, and of course we were little freshmen, so you're scared of getting that first F in high school.
Yep.
So, yeah, I remember that trip.
What's yours?
Mine is probably gonna be, I think mine personally is definitely caring beyond self. I think that's a good thing. No matter what, you should always care about the person across from you, people beside you, and put yourself in their shoes. And actually, KO, in fact, brought in a jewel police. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
The jewel police came in, and they were caring beyond self because they were worried about people in our community
and our health and our safety.
And of course, and you know, there was some students or whatever that was doing whatever.
I remember that. Those kids really, I have a lot of respect for those kids. They definitely took a more social bullet for being members of the Jewel Police, but
they got the job done. I mean, they did what they had to do, and I think that was something good. All right, what's your next one?
I personally think that demonstrating honesty, integrity, and respect is a huge part of the KO campus.
Definitely.
And I think that there's one faculty member in particular who does this, who is Matt Kosei.
Of course.
He works in the athletic department. He is always there, like always around, kind of. If you need something, he's there, like just sports equipment or what. But he is the type of person who will be brutally honest with you.
Yes.
He will respect your personal opinions, and he just won't make you feel terrible, but he will be honest about if something you're doing is... Iconic quote from Mr. Matt Kosei is, stop being weird. And So I think that just kind of embodies him, because he'll apologize for it after if like somebody takes it the wrong way. He's a very kind-hearted person.
Yep.
And I have so much respect for the way that he loves the KO community. Like, he demonstrates so much integrity by just being there for the KO community.
Yeah.
He is a heart and soul of KO.
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, I know like a lot of people joke about it and say this, say that. Like, Kosei may sleep in the back of the the boys' locker room. Like, he might. We don't know. One time I've been back there helping him get some jerseys. I saw a pillow. I'm not sure. No, but no, he's there. He eats, sleeps, and breathes KO. And he loves it to death. The next one that I'm gonna think about is the next one that pops into my head out of all of them is taking personal responsibility.
Oh yes, that is a big.
Because I mean, you fail a test, you got to go meet with your teacher and be like, I messed up.
Yeah. Or if you get Miss Solomon to quit.
Retire. Yeah, that might be our fault. So classes coming forward, just in case Miss Solomon, love you, Miss Solomon. Just in case she retires this year, it's our fault.
It's probably our fault. I mean, the classes before definitely did some damage when they were in the back of the library being loud and getting kicked out and being told to be quiet.
Yeah.
But loving Miss Solomon with all of their hearts.
Yeah.
She is the mom of the school.
Of course.
We all adore Miss Solomon, but if she retires,
it's definitely
might have
our
been the
fault.
last straw.
Yeah, it might have been us.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that place was closed more than open, and it sure wasn't maintenance or her fault.
No.
It was definitely our
Yeah,
fault.
like when it was closed during a senior thesis, that was definitely a big sign to us.
Yeah, that was our bad. We did that, and we brought that on ourselves. But you know. But we did that perseverance. We took personal respersability and persevered through it.
And we all did pretty well on our thesis. I think. I mean, I did. Fine.
I did fine. So what's the last one? Wait.
We have two.
We have two more?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
We got to embrace intellectual curiosity.
Well, that is a huge aspect of KO.
That is. I mean,
they bring us to the college fair. That's
the college fair,
so that we can go and talk to colleges. I mean, granted, a
Bad.
lot of us are there to try and find more attractive people from other schools. And just kind of, or running away from people that we know from other schools that we don't want to see.
Don't shout me out
but
in the middle of the video, okay?
It happens. But
it does happen.
We did take those opportunities. We were able to meet the reps from our districts and our regions, which was good.
Yeah.
And some of them were able to remember us when we walked into the meetings.
The
with them
TCU
too.
lady remembered us when we
us,
went.
Yeah,
I remember that. She remembered us when we were there. She was really nice, but yeah. So you always got to embrace that intellectual curiosity, always expand your horizons. And I believe the last one is working hard, taking risks, becoming involved. KO does not let you do anything
that you're used to. You
will be pushed to do something that you frankly do not want to do.
With uncomfortable.
Exactly. So my uncomfortability, is that a word?
No.
Dang it, I messed up.
It's okay.
My where I am uncomfortable is in basketball. If you see me play basketball, I'm not good at all.
As the manager of a sport that I did not know before that season, I do know.
Yes, you know that I'm not good at what I do on the basketball court, but I enjoyed it. I worked hard at it, and I got most improved as a junior.
It happens. It happens.
It's fun. It was fun.
It was a great time.
And so that's our little spiel on KO.
From all of our memories, but none of it really would have happened without the community itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, all the faculty members have been great throughout the years.
Definitely.
They've made definitely some impressionable memories that we won't forget.
Without a doubt.
Like our first freshman dance when we were the Olympics team.
Yeah, the Olympics team, that was fun with like all the prefects and stuff. Yeah, that was fun.
All the prefects and everything, that was really fun.
That was fun getting to meet new people.
Up to our senior prom.
That didn't happen. Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's okay. But we had the hypnotist come.
Yes, the hypnotist did come. That guy was cool.
Yeah,
made some people say some stuff that we thought they'd never say.
Yeah. Or have some reactions that we thought they'd never have.
That as well. There's May's breakfast sandwiches, which are something I will never forget.
Can't forget those.
Never will forget those.
I've now always put a hash brown in my breakfast.
Yeah, you have to. My mom will always, like, when we have our family breakfast, when I'm helping my mom make breakfast, always get a bacon, egg, and cheese, obviously, or sausage, whatever you like. But there has to be a hash brown in there. If there's not a hash brown in there, You can't eat it.
It's
It
just not
it
the
doesn't
same.
taste the same.
No.
It does not taste the same at all.
No. And yeah, like a huge shout out to all of the spring trips that teachers were able to put together, like the lacrosse trip, the baseball trip, which
the
is
baseball
huge.
trip, which is
Like you definitely have so many memories from that.
yeah. So I mean, my favorite memory from last year was definitely the all-nighter that we pulled.
Yeah.
So sorry if I'm exposing some of my teammates out there. But yeah, we did not sleep for like 48 hours. It was pretty fun. Pretty tiring, but it went well. And
Yeah.
that's something I will never forget, especially when I go to college.
No, and I was fortunate enough to go to Tobati
Yeah.
last year, which was definitely, obviously everybody's going to say it's eye-opening, like, which it obviously is. And, I have so many fun memories from staying with my house family and from meeting the kids in my work groups and going and seeing their houses. It was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful to KO for offering me that.
Yeah, I unfortunately wasn't able to go in my 4 years in the upper school, but I'm hoping that as a graduate I might be able to slide in there. I'm gonna have to talk to Mr. Garcia. That's another thing.
The Spanish.
His Spanish 3 military grade class. For those of you that did not take Spanish in the upper school, I'm not gonna say you missed out because I imagine you had a ton of fun in your other language class.
Especially if you had Dr. Briggs for French.
Of course. But the military grade was where your strengths were tested.
Yes.
That's where you were tested mentally, sometimes physically,
Definitely emotionally.
Emotionally 100%.
Yes.
But in my class, I remember you got a word wrong. Some of us had to do some push-ups. I'm not gonna lie, and it wasn't punishment. It was a mental test.
It was willing.
It was a willing mental test.
And
but, you
Quizlet Vivo was
Quizlet Vivo was competitive. That should be a sport.
Tears shed
There
over
was
Quizlet
tears.
Vivo.
Especially when you had the embarrassment of being the last team in there
leave.
and you had to get it right and nobody wanted to do it anymore.
Yeah.
That hit in the heart. That hit in the pride.
But those are things that you'll never forget from that experience.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So that's enough of us going on, just telling you guys some stories. There's going to be some amazing performances coming up. But for right now, we're going to have the college map of the class of 2020, as well as the senior plaques introduced by Jack Risley.
Jack Risley, a senior, and in my hands are the 2020 senior class shields. Each year, it's tradition at Kingswood Oxford to burn each senior's initials into the shields, and they are hung up in the top of Roberts. This year, it's been a little hard due to the situation. Some of us have burned our initials in November, and others have been doing it now safely through social distancing. But in the end, we all got them done. So, and next up on the stage will be Marwin Samrinovich, Emily Lemkuhl, and Alex Diadavo.
See it, that dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaking, but I gotta keep trying. Keep my head held high. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. The struggles I'm facing, the chances I'm taking, sometimes might knock me down, but no, I'm not breaking. I may not know it, but these are the moments I know you haven't made your mind up yet, but I will never do you wrong. I've known it from the moment that we met. No doubt in my mind where you belong. I'd go hungry, I'd go black and blue. I'd go crawling down the avenue. There is nothing that I wouldn't do to make you feel my love. The storms are raging on the rolling seas, and on a highway of regret. The winds of change are blowing wild and free. You ain't seen nothing like me yet. I could make you happy, make your dreams come true. There is nothing that I wouldn't do. Go to the ends of the earth for you, to make you feel my love, to make you feel my love.
So up next we have Juliana Kulak and Nick Stolfi for their art portfolios.
Art is one of the oldest and most universal forms of communication. When we take the time to look with an open heart and mind, art will inspire us, educate us, entertain us, and at times challenge our beliefs and assumptions. Regardless of style or medium or culture, art helps us to connect with others.
Making of art is sometimes a solitary pursuit, as we artists spend countless hours in the studio exploring the creative possibilities found in our materials and our imaginations. Tonight, we're excited to offer you a glimpse into the diverse array of images and expressions that have been created by some of our senior artists during their years here. We hope you enjoy it.
Thank you for sharing your beautiful artwork. Next, we have speeches from Alyssa Pilecki, Alon Settlement, and Kai Kuvila. First up, we have Alyssa Pilecki.
Good evening, everyone. I'd list out who you all are, but seeing as I can't exactly see you on a Zoom webinar, I'm just going to assume the typical class night audience. Seniors and their families, friends, faculty, staff, the juniors who are invited, I think we all mean forced, to be here, and maybe some underclassmen too. I don't know. Before I start, I want to say just 3 words. The butterfly effect. It doesn't matter if you know what it is or not, or if you're Googling it right now. I know it's completely random, but just do me a favor and keep it in mind for later. I've pretty much known since last year's class night, after hearing some standout speeches, that I'd also want to give a speech of my own. So when Mr. Holtz recently sent out the Google sign-up sheet, I put down my name as soon as I saw it. And then, as it usually is for me, I got stuck. Mr. Hild emailed me soon afterward, and we had a talk over Zoom, what I like to think of as the nation's hero during this pandemic, or rather the opposite of College Board. Mr. Hild told me what kinds of speeches people generally have done in years past, only to end with, "I don't know, Alyssa. You can honestly take it anywhere you want to. There's no one right way to do this. But you'll be great. I know it." Yeah, thanks for the kind words of wisdom, Mr. Hild, but I don't think so. Standing here on Wednesday night around 8 p.m., because I've been procrastinating recording this, I've decided to talk about my hopes going into KO and my feelings leaving this place. Metaphorically, of course. I came in as a brand new freshman, excited for the new prospects of high school, which is literally not an exciting statement, seeing as probably every single other incoming freshman in the country and in the world thinks the same thing. But as a freshman, I had a few goals in mind. I'd study hard, I'd make some new friends, I'd make memories I'd want to be able to look back upon and remember in like 20 years or so, and ultimately that would mean I'd have to try out as many things as I could, which I ended up doing. But I had one goal that I really wanted to accomplish in my mind: to not regret the next 4 years of high school. I wasn't kidding myself either. I knew I'd make mistakes, and plenty of them, because honestly, look at me, I tend to mess things up a lot, including my first impression during freshman orientation. But really, I just wanted to be able to finish senior year being happy with myself, being happy with the way I carried myself throughout high school. At the time, I regretted a lot of middle school, and I wanted a simple, fresh start. Again, like any other freshman would. Now it pains me to say, though, that after suffering through a tragic 4 years... Nope, just kidding. Now after spending 4 memorable years in a place that I've come to consider my second home, I can honestly say that I don't regret high school. Not one bit. And that makes me happy and grateful. There are certainly many individual things I've done that I'm not proud of, and I'm quite embarrassed to think about. But as a whole, deep down, I feel like I've had a fulfilling high school experience. I'm not sitting here thinking to myself, I wish I did this, or I wish I knew that person, or I wish I did this differently. No, I'm standing here today, and I'm thinking I did the best I could in these past 4 years, and I don't have regrets. No regrets, you're probably thinking. How's that possible? I'll tell you. During my sophomore year, a senior I was friends with, Gabby Rubin, told me one of the best pieces of advice I think I've ever received in my life. Don't have regrets, she told me. Literally, everything happens because it's supposed to happen. You won't learn as much if you don't make mistakes. So don't regret anything. I scoffed, literally scoffed, in disbelief, and I quite frankly ignored her. I'd already had regrets piled up one right after the other. But now as a senior, I'm like, hell yeah, that's right. No regrets. I don't regret anything anymore. That makes sense. Even though Gabby and I don't really talk as much as we used to anymore, although in typical Gabby fashion, she recently reached out to me and offered advice yet again, I will always remember her telling me, don't have regrets. I think that's something everyone should and will figure out at some point or another. If you didn't make the decisions you have so far, you wouldn't be the you sitting or standing or listening on Zoom to me today. And that, ladies and gents, brings me to the butterfly effect. The definition, in case you're wondering or haven't Googled it already, is the idea that says a small change can make much bigger changes happen. One small incident that can have a big impact in the future. This is actually the very first entry I put inside my journal that I got this past February. Another thing I recommend anyone do because it's very therapeutic. But I've always liked butterflies my whole life. They're my favorite animal because they're super pretty, duh. But I think the butterfly effect for me is truly a beautiful idea just like the animal. And I gave whoever named the phenomenon an A+. It's a perfect description. And depending on who you ask, it could also be a fantastic song by Travis Scott in case you want to switch up your playlist. The point is, no matter where you're going to go in life, you're there for a reason. Whether you believe it's God or gods or the universe pushing you in whatever direction you're going, or whether you don't believe in any of that at all, everything happens for a reason. It just does. 4 years ago, 8th grade Alyssa deciding to go to KO over Northwest Catholic, completely on a whim, which is a story for another time, that happened for a reason. And I'm extremely happy and grateful that it did. Thank you everyone, teachers, students, and staff, who's helped me through high school, who's been my friend at some point or another, who's taught me lessons both in and out of the classroom. Sorry if I don't remember all of them, I doubt I will. Who's offered me advice or help, or just to be someone who can be there to listen to me. Shout out to Mrs. Solomon, Mr. Millen, and Mr. Goodman for being particularly good at this. And thanks to everyone who's helped make my high school experience the one that it is today. Thank you for making this my second home. And of course, thank you to my family in my real home, and especially my parents for supporting my decision to go to KO and agreeing to pay the hefty tuition. Love you guys. Before I end, I don't think this would be a very solid speech if I didn't directly acknowledge the pandemic while we're still in the middle of the pandemic. I think that we, as a community, as a nation, as the whole entire world, the class of 2020, the other classes, younger kids, older kids, siblings, parents, cousins, athletes, celebrities, college students, policemen, policewomen, firefighters, office workers, business owners, grocery store workers, the doctors and nurses and paramedics and all the healthcare workers who are the nation's real heroes, and I'm proud to say my dad's one among them. I think all of us, the whole world, was completely blindsided by the severity of the coronavirus pandemic. And even though it's probably been said about 1 million or billion times by now, I'll say it again. No one was expecting this. No one at all. We've had our regular world, our regular routine ripped from us. And class of 2020, we've had our senior year ripped from us. And we have to be okay with it, because there are much, much worse things going on in the world. But it still stinks. In the words of Holden Caulfield, star of J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye, I don't care if it's a sad goodbye or a bad goodbye, but when I leave a place, I like to know I'm leaving it. If you don't, you feel even worse. Well said, Holden. I think it's 100% accurate and what we're all feeling right now. That all being said, congrats, class of 2020. We've done it. We're finally here. As the administration likes to say, we're making history. I leave everyone still listening to me speak with this. Go do something. Whether it's today or tomorrow or sometime soon, go do something and don't regret it. Hopefully it's not illegal because you might regret that. Thank you everyone and good night.
Hello everyone. I had an amazing opener for this speech. I had thought of it months ago, but it requires that we are all at Roberts Theater. Regretfully, we are not. But, using the suspension of disbelief, I implore you all to close your eyes and imagine for a moment that we are. Alright, now we're all here. We're on the Roberts stage. I am standing in front of a podium right now. And on this stage, you've all seen me do a lot of things. You've seen me sing and dance on this stage. You've seen me perform and play my saxophone on this stage, even. You even seen me give birth on this stage. Twice, in fact. Which, if I had a nickel for every time I've given birth on this stage, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't that many, but it's weird that it happened twice. This stage, however, has meant a lot for me as I've grown in my 5 years here. Because when I first came here in 8th grade, this stage was one of the reasons why I even came to this school. And that was because when I came, there was a jazz combo performing on the stage. And I remember thinking to myself, I want that. That is something I want to do. And it drew me to the school. So I came here expecting amazingness, and I got 5 years of trying to figure out how to place myself in the world and where I belong and where I fit, which I think is a pretty common experience for most average high schoolers. Beginning 8th grade, I came in as an outsider, and it was weird and tumultuous and tempestuous, but I persevered, I got through it. And that's all I have to say about that. Freshman year, though, was infinitely better for me. I felt more self-assured. I was in high school. I was 4 years away from getting out of here and doing whatever I wanted to do. And high school offered many more opportunities than middle school. The blinders were essentially off. I could see every opportunity. Forensic Union, for example. I remember during the time my idol, Connor O'Loughlin, public speaker extraordinaire, actor, singer, inventor, everything he did, I wanted to do. I wanted to do and emulate him the best I could because I admired him, of course. And so I set out to try to do exactly that. I joined the clubs and I began to public speak, and I was abysmal. I was terrible at public speaking. Literally everything that I tried was unsure and unfinished. It was a half-baked idea. It was a quarter-baked potato, if you were going to call it anything, in terms of my public speaking ability. But you get better. The first step to not sucking at something is sucking at something, because as soon as you do that, as soon as you take that first step, you're already making progress and you're learning about yourself. And I learned a lot about myself my freshman year. Did it mean that I was any better a public speaker by the end of the year? Maybe. But it was a good formative year, and it was nice to have. It was good for me to do these things. I also joined the cross-country team, which was 4 years of some of the best camaraderie I've ever had with any group of people surrounding a sport. And that was amazing. Sophomore and junior year, respectively, were more interesting. I got to really delve deep and really get to know people that would be supporting me. For example, Mr. Millen, Todd Millen, amazing person and infinitely better teacher. And he put me on the path to do great things. And without him, my sophomore year, I probably wouldn't have had the drive or the direction. I wouldn't know what I didn't know, essentially. And I cannot thank him enough for it, for everything he's done for me. Mr. Millen, if you're watching this, I cannot thank you enough. You have been amazing to me, so thank you. I also got in touch with Miss Rodriguez, who really helped me work through my complex emotions and get through it all. And I'll be honest, I've had a fair few off days on this campus. And she helped me work through that and process what I was going through. So Miss Rodriguez, for you, I have to say thank you so much. Everything you've done for me has been amazing. And I cannot thank you enough. So, hats off to you. Moving forward, my junior year, moving into this, it was more where I was beginning to become more serious. Not only about school and life, but music. I was seriously considering going into music. And that was a shock to my parents. It was a shock to me. It was a shock to even Mr. Millen. And I remember everybody saying, you've got to want it, and it will happen. And I remember practicing and playing my tail off and working and working and working, only to be told that the path that I was going to go on, auditioning into music school, where I was technically speaking on the instrument, was not where I needed to be. And that broke me. It hurt. It hurt a lot. It felt awful. I had done all this work, and then for nothing? It meant nothing? At least that's how it felt in the moment. But I later reconciled that my path, if I want to do music, it's going to happen. The path just might be a little bit different. So I decided to find that different path. And I decided to go to Litchfield Jazz Camp to see if it was what I really wanted. I was given a scholarship, graciously, again, by Mr. Millen, who gave me an opportunity to do something with my abilities. And I loved it, and it changed me. I was inundated with jazz. I was inundated with the culture of music. And the people around me, they were competitive, but they were collaborative. It was amazing. I came back hungry. I wanted more. I wanted to do more jazz. So I came into senior year with this bravado and hot off the press desire to be better. And it was noticeable. Everyone saw that I was driving to be better. In addition, public speaking for junior and senior year. I went to internationals for 2 years in a row. And while I did not garner any individual awards, it was still an amazing experience. The people that I met were amazing, and I cannot thank the people around me who have given me that opportunity. Dr. Wayne and Mrs. Caswell, thank you both so much for everything you've given me. I appreciate it, and you guys have given me opportunities beyond anything I ever could have imagined. And that leaves the rest of senior year. Nothing short of amazing. I got to do everything I wanted to do, and it was a pretty positive experience. The musical tested my resolve, and Magdalene Everly's resolve as well, but we did everything we could, and with the help of Maggie, who's been an amazing force for me for the past 4 years, she's done nothing but help me and work towards a better performance. And I cannot thank her enough for everything she's done for me. She's helped me through so many hard roles and hard lines and countless hours on the phone talking about music or talking about our lines and how we're going to deliver them. And I cannot thank her enough. Maggie, you are a dear friend. Thank you so much. In addition, senior year, I got to really come into my own musically. I got to perform a lot for the school. I got to do so many new, interesting things. And I cannot thank this school enough for it. And now here I am at the end of it all with a college, with a liberal arts degree college, and I am afraid. I've spent the past 5 years gaining connections here, and I'm a tree about to be uprooted and go somewhere else. But I'm excited, and I feel ready for it. And the people around me, the people that I've mentioned, have been nothing short of helpful and amazing. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Selmarock and Mrs. Edwards, if I did not thank you both already. You guys have been there for me when I needed it most. You guys have been there to check in with me, and I care about you guys so much. So thank you guys so much for being there for me. In addition, my musical taste has also supported me. I could not thank Tyler, the Creator, enough, for example, or John Coltrane, Dexter Gordon, Dizzy Gillespie, people who have contributed to my musical taste so much more so than I had before. And now we're here, at the last time I'll ever be on this stage, the last speech I will ever give to you all, the last performance, and the last people I have to thank is you all. Thank you all for being an amazing audience. Thank you all as a community for supporting me for the past 5 years. And yeah, with that being said, that's all, folks. Bye.
Thank you, Alon. Next up, we have Kai Kuvila.
You know, they say write what you know. Well, I know quite a bit about KO, but now, perhaps even more so than ever, I've also become quite familiar with Netflix. Recently, I have found myself day binging Grace and Frankie, a charming comedy television show about two women, for which the show is named, who begrudgingly become friends when their lifelong husbands announce that they have fallen in love with each other and want to get married. In every episode, Grace and Frankie find themselves dealing with the new arrangements of their familial life, while also facing the everyday and inevitable perils of retirement and aging. Like the rivals turned best friends, we also have had to adapt and normalize our respective situations, as they have learned to adjust to back problems that leave them stranded on the floor for days at a time. My bed is growing a larger and more permanent indent, and I have waged war against the dreaded COVID-19. But I'm convinced that learning to adapt and navigate this complex and unforeseen circumstance would have been much harder without the education, relationships, and fair share of challenges that KO has given me, and I am forever grateful to this school for its lasting impact on me. I came to KO as a wide-eyed freshman, oohing and ahhing at all the shiny newness that high school brings, new binders with the fancy rubber hinge, and a whole pencil case full of brightly colored pens for every occasion, new teachers, new peers, new friends, and a whole new level of rigor. Contrary to what my pencil case might have suggested, I was not prepared for high school. I was used to skating through school with minimal effort, turning in assignments and essays that I had completed the night before and getting A's in return. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Well, it was very, very broke. I thought that good grades meant that I was a successful student, and therefore I didn't care to develop the skills that would actually make me one. I was caught up in the quantifiable nature of grades, and I didn't think that I had much more to learn in that area. But, surprise, surprise, when I came to KO, I was not a good student. And it became exceedingly apparent exceedingly quickly. My grades were quite poor, my focus was weak at best, and my apathy was through the roof. Now, looking back, I am grateful for that year, both for the fact that my teenage rebellion took the form of incomplete homework, and for the fact that I was able to get over my own ego and acknowledge my mistakes, thus allowing me to grow from them. In the following years, I worked hard to come back from what I perceived as a colossal failure. I learned that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, how to balance my commute and sports with my academics, how to write compelling theses and solve definite integrals. Mostly. And perhaps most importantly, the power of advocacy and my own voice. For all of that, I thank my teachers. And at KO, everyone is your teacher. To the classmates who suggested new angles at which to approach the dreaded vertical circles problems on one of Mr. Krause's problem sets. To the teammates who always danced and pelted me with lacrosse balls every day at practice. To the coaches who have helped me reach this amazing dream of being a collegiate athlete. And to the teachers whose classes I have sat in, who I have conversed at length with about our weekends, our hopes for the future, who have taught me the pleasures of learning for the sake of learning, and who have been my friends, I thank you. In the end, the demanding and ruthless tyrant that is freshman year was successful because it led me to all of these realizations. Finally, to my forever teachers, the class of 2020. Today, we would have become Kingswood Oxford alumni. But I feel quite lucky to be able to deliver this speech instead, to acknowledge the losses, but celebrate everything that we have gained. There are many things we have given up, no doubt. But in their stead, we have the rare opportunity to step back and reevaluate our headlong rush towards graduation. In the process, we have learned to appreciate the importance of face-to-face relationships and the real meaning of play every game like it's your last. The trials and tribulations that we have faced, while difficult, have taught us to think profoundly about the world that we are living in, to cherish each of our relationships, and to recognize where we came from and who we are now. At the beginning of the pandemic and subsequent quarantine, I wrote and shared a letter addressed to you, the senior class. The sentiments I expressed are a culmination of all that I have learned from you, and I would like to read a short excerpt from that letter, in hopes that the rest of the KO community may hear it. I encourage you to find the silver lining. This is a test of character. How are you choosing to face adversity? There is no doubt in my mind that we will come out on the other side of these events as changed people. It is up to you to decide who that person will be. Take this time to find your better self, to connect with classmates you consider strangers and acquaintances, or call that friend who you've fallen out of touch with, mend a broken relationship, and email your teachers to thank them for everything that they have done for you. Remember what you haven't lost, the memories, the relationships, and the mark that you have left on the Kingswood Oxford community. And remember that this is temporary. We will adapt, we will grow, and we will survive. As we go forth and enter a world on the cusp of great change, I hope that you will find joy in the littlest of things, that you will relish going to prize assemblies in your PJs, that you will celebrate a 9 a.m. start every day, that funny Zoom backgrounds will make you smile, and that you will seek to find value in this challenge. This is our season finale, and just as Grace and Frankie's shenanigans prepare them for their next season, KO has prepared us for ours. To conquering oneself and enduring, thank you.
Thank you to Kai and the rest of the speakers for their amazing speeches. Next up, we have performances from Rohan Naik and Remy McCoy and Molly Jones. First up, Rohan.
Thank you, Rohan, for your beautiful performance. Next up, we have Remy McCoy and Molly Jones, accompanied by Nick Stolfi on guitar.
This is where the chapter ends. A new one now begins. Time has come for letting go. The hardest part is when you know all of these years that we were here are ending, but I'll always remember we have had the time of our lives. And now the page is turned, the stories we will write. We have had the time of our lives, and I will not forget the faces left behind. It's hard to walk away from the best of days, but if it has to end, I'm glad you have been my friend in the time of our lives. Where the water meets the land, there is shifting in the sand, like the tide that ebbs and flows. Memories will come and go. All of these years that we were here are ending, but I'll always remember we have had the time of our lives. And now the page is turned, the stories we will write. We have had the time of our lives, and I will not forget the faces left behind. It's hard to walk away from the best of days, but if it has to end, I'm glad you have been my friend in the time of our lives. We say goodbye, we hold on tight to these memories that never die. We say goodbye, we hold on tight to these memories that never die. We have had the time of our lives, and now the page is turned, the stories we will write. We have had the time of our lives, and I will not forget the faces left behind. It's hard to walk away from the best of days, but if it has to end, I'm glad you have been my friend in the time of our lives. I'm glad you have been my friend in the time of our lives.
Thank you, Remy, Molly, and Nick, for that amazing performance. Next up, we have Murphy Kearney with a retrospective video that Bella did not submit to.
Yep.
I wanted to do a video with our senior class to commemorate our time at KO, but also the events that have happened throughout our lifetime. As a remembrance of our time in quarantine, I thought this would be a nice way for us to come together as a class and have something to remember our senior year by. Hope you guys enjoy.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
Kingswood Oxford, class of 2020. class who has persisted through the unthinkable.
We were born in the wake of 9/11.
We were only toddlers when mega companies like YouTube and Facebook began.
We grew up during the rise of technology.
We entered elementary school at the peak of the stock market crash.
We entered middle school after the Boston Marathon bombing.
We entered high school when mass shootings became normal.
We grew up in an era of Kick Messenger.
High School Musical.
Early morning SpongeBob.
Justin Bieber and silly bands.
Baseball.
Watching Drake and Josh and iCarly.
Bill Nye the Science Guy videos.
Disney Channel.
Phineas and Ferb.
2020 will always be remembered, but not for the reasons we've hoped for.
High school is ending because of the coronavirus pandemic.
Milestones we have been looking forward to for a lifetime.
Times with friends and teachers.
May be taken away from us.
We were supposed to play our last season of Assassins.
For me, I won't get to play in my senior baseball season.
For me, I won't be able to play my first season of lacrosse.
For me, I won't have my senior season in track and achieve all of the goals I've had since freshman year.
For me, I won't be able to play the final baseball season with the boys I love.
For me and the rest of the 7-year seniors, we will never be able to have our 7-year dinner.
For me, wasn't able to go to Florida and have a senior baseball season.
For myself and the rest of the class of 2020, we won't be able to walk across the stage on May 22nd to receive our diplomas.
We can enjoy our last moments in high school together,
but nevertheless,
through every hardship and achievement,
we have prevailed much stronger.
We have stayed positive.
And we have grown together.
Our final days of senior year
will forever be remembered in quarantine instead of classrooms.
But we are strong.
KO strong.
And no matter what has happened, we will forever be tied together.
We will do big things.
And we will become
future actors,
future engineers,
future nurses,
police officers.
We are future writers, politicians, and tech moguls.
Future doctors.
Thank you, KO administration.
Thank you to our forum dean, Mr. Held.
Thank you, parents.
Thank you, coaches.
Thank you, advisors.
Thank you, teachers.
And thanks to our head of school, Mr. Dilla.
For everything you're doing and have done.
To make our senior year memorable.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are.
KO's class of 2020.
Once a wyvern, always a wyvern.
Murphy, that was great. I apologize for not submitting.
Thank you for putting that together, Murphy. I know the whole class of 2020 and all their parents really appreciate it, so thank you very much.
We're very grateful. Next up, we have Mr. Hill to come speak to us.
Hello and welcome to a most unusual KO class night. First of all, some thank yous are in order from me. Tonight we've enjoyed viewing the talent of our many quality studio artists, the words of Alyssa, Ilan, and Kai, the musical splendor of Marwan, Rohan, Emily, Alex, Molly, Nick, and Remy, the wit and sincerity of Wes and Bella, and the inspired movie-making vision of Murphy. And I need to especially thank the incredible can-do kid, Mr. Kravitz, for all his help in making tonight's show a reality, the first ever YouTube KO class night. But I also need to acknowledge and give shout outs to people who had a hand in creating and bringing to life events that have unfolded over the past several months. It's hard to comprehend what the class of 2020 has had to deal with since early March. No trips to Tobati, Italy, Florida, or Robex. No spring sports or songs from the stage or club activities. No waking up early to attend in-person classes. Well, I'm not sure everybody hated that. And it was also unexpected, so sudden. As teachers, we're accustomed to saying goodbye to departing classes. We do it every year. But we've always had a timeline that allows us to ease into the farewell. This spring, none of us received that chance. So it deeply saddens me that you're about to be graduated from KO without experiencing all the daily duties and hyped hoopla that accompanies a senior spring. I remember 17 of you as fresh-faced upper preppers, and most others as somewhat cherubic freshmen. But we adults, time, and COVID-19 conspired to force you to reevaluate who you are and how you fit in the world around you. Today, I know young men and women who are well prepared to go out and seek new challenges. You've weathered the barrage of quizzes, tests, and papers that KO demands of every wyvern. You've been champs in our athletic arenas, the performing arts, visual and performing arts, clubs, community service, and most importantly, in your kind treatment of others. And you dealt conscientiously and courageously with a pandemic the likes of which no KO class has ever seen. To that end, thanks are also in order, not just to you as a class, but to your teachers, advisors, and parents. And Mr. G, Mrs. Perkins, Dr. Gleason, Mr. Dillow, Mrs. Malinowski, Mrs. Bellengraff, in the Alumni Relations Office, Mrs. Pisani in the Communications and Marketing Department, Mr. Wolfrat of the Buildings and Grounds team, Mr. Whirlin and Sage Dining, and Bob from Murphy Security, all have gone above and beyond in trying to help this class have moments that have been positive and fun over the last couple of weeks. Through this entire pandemic and before it, this senior class has been staunch and true. You've given of yourselves and you've shared your collective light. You've had triumphs and successes too numerous to count. The KO News, EPIC, Forensic Union, Model UN, Shield and Dragon, Student Government, and multiple English and science symposiums all hold places in the hearts of some of you. Robotics, Tech Crew, ADL programs, Red Cross blood drives, and Team Tobati are further examples of your outreach. Hewitt Days, the KITs, Hockey Nights, the KITTs, and Spring Sports Days were times where others of you found the spotlight, while concerts, art portfolios, one-acts, Thoroughly Modern Millie, and other moments on the KO stage were avenues of artistic expression that we all reveled in. And of course, all of you found less visible but more personal and equally tangible ways to leave your mark. Passing smiles, unguarded remarks, small gestures of sincerity. A chapter of Michael Novak's 1976 book, The Joy of Sports, is devoted to the concept of sacred time and sacred space. The phrase is coined to describe how people of diverse backgrounds bond, that places and moments in one's life cannot be replicated, but those places grow exponentially larger in the mind's eye with the passage of time. I believe you will come to look back at your years spent at KO, the people you shared them with, the places you inhabited, in much the same way. For each of you, the special times, people, and places will vary. Perhaps it was the spring of your junior year, or the speaker's forum, the announcement of cum laude. Perhaps it was your prefect and your relationship with him or her when you were a freshman, or Mr. Kose, or Mrs. Solomon, or Coco. Perhaps it was a squash court, or a soggy bus ride in Paraguay, or the sound booth, or sitting around a Harkness table. Whatever they may be, you'll remember them. You are Wyverns forever. A KO community is not just a word that's written in a document, it's a palpable thing. We've been able to develop relationships with you and you with each other that transcend typical adult-adolescent boundaries. We've worked together in so many areas, and it hasn't always been easy or without heartache or without complaint on either end, but we've formed bonds that will last. Over the years, your teachers, coaches, and advisors have watched you humbly deal with successes and handle unimaginable adversity with enormous grace. I'd like to propose a thought with regard to dealing with the uncertainty that's in our world right now. It's the idea that especially now, it's perfectly okay not to know exactly where you're going and how you're going to get there. Many of you came to KO with extremely good planning skills already in place, but if you didn't, KO certainly drilled them into you. And you know now how to make plans and set goals. You're incredibly adept at that. And those are great skills. But today we suddenly find ourselves in a world where it's really difficult to make finite plans because so much of the future is uncertain. Will I be able to go to college in the fall, perform on stage, live in a dorm, go to a party? Can I play sports? Can I even watch sports next year? All that's impossible to answer right now. But I contend that setting goals and achieving them isn't really how we find happiness. It's rather the journey, the experience. As Emily sang, it's the climb. So try to envision setting out on a journey, be it physical, mental, or spiritual, in which you don't know the destination. And try to accept the beauty of that. Some of you know I'm a runner. I'm not a particularly fast or graceful one, but I am dedicated. In fact, I've run at least 3 miles a day every single day for over 8 years. Actually, over 16 years, if you don't count 3 days in 2011 when a mystery virus sent me to Hartford Hospital. In any event, daily runs are part of my self-visualization. Usually, when I set out on a run, I know where I'm going, but sometimes I don't. Over the years in Paris and in Paraguay, in Fairview Cemetery in Fairleigh, Vermont, there are days and times when I run, just eager to see where my legs and my lungs are going to take me, and not knowing the route or its length. And I've found over time that these runs are the most invigorating and memorable ones that I have. My mind and body is liberated from the expectation or destination. It's focused solely on the moment, on my breathing, the terrain underfoot, the beings near me, the weather, the landscape, my thoughts. This March and April, I quarantined in the New Hampshire wilderness. My golden retriever, Callie, joined me on my runs. And my most enjoyable and replenishing moments were spent exploring old abandoned logging roads deep in the woods. We ran times where we got lost and ran without a plan. We ran wherever an unmapped foresting ventricle took us. Now, contrary to what some of you might think, I'm not an idiot. I have a compass and I know how to use it. So I never really feared you'd eventually read about me perishing, lost in the woods. But I grew to love those experiences simply because I wasn't focused on meeting a goal or reaching a destination. And I think that's not a bad way to live right now. Developing a methodology and setting goals are great skills. And spontaneous planning is what we do when we're stuck in a thorny situation. But I'm asking you tonight to think about reveling in planned spontaneity. Just go do something because your heart tells you to, not because you're looking for a destination or a result. I've been very fortunate to teach, coach, advise, and be form dean to all of you class of 2020 and COVID-19 kids. We've watched you grow up, and you've grown into outstanding people. We're proud to call you our students and to call you our friends. After almost 36 years of teaching, I've come to know and appreciate that my students make my life a better life. I suspect most teachers agree with that sentiment. It's why we do what we do. Many of our finest and happiest moments involve working with you. You inject energy and idealism and laughter into our lives, and you're a riot to be around. Next fall, because I'm an optimist, we'll be at school, and I'll be going to my advisory group, and there'll be 7 or 8 kids hanging out, laughing at TikTok, prepping for a quiz, discussing how Tom Brady looks in orange. But there'll be different kids. There'll be different kids on rosters and in musicals, in labs and as essays. That's as it should be, but you are all going to be greatly missed. I hope you look back at your time at KO with a smile on your face and with gratitude. Gratitude for the friendships, the profound academic opportunities, the long athletic, club, and community service road trips, the laughter, and for your time as a wyvern surrounded by extraordinary people who truly love you. Before I close tonight, I'd like you to think about something President Obama said back in 2015. He said, gratification comes with helping someone find their path. for making yourself useful not just to yourself, but to others. For you haven't just earned new opportunities by graduating, you've also earned responsibilities. That's who we are as Americans. We're rugged individuals. We haven't lost that pioneering spirit that brought many of our grandparents and great-grandparents to these shores. We ask for nothing more than the chance to blaze our own trail. And yet each of us is only here because somebody somewhere helped us to find our own path. There's an old Russian proverb that proclaims, long, long goodbyes lead to too many tears. Well, we didn't get a long goodbye this spring. We're saying goodbye to each other, but none of us is really moving to Siberia. We're going to see each other again. Commencement is a beautiful ritual, and it acknowledges you and your many accomplishments. Despite the fact that commencement 2020 will be physically different than in the past, this in no way alters the magnitude of your moment. I plan to celebrate you, the class of 2020, all summer, and in all probability, next June as well. Godspeed.
Those lights were mine to love and cherish, to guard and guide along life's way. Oh God, forbid that one should perish.
Thank you to the faculty chorus for putting in the time and effort on the song and in our schooling in general. I know we all really appreciate it.
Thank you to everybody who came out to perform tonight. Obviously, it was not ideal, the situations that we had, but now we have Mr. Dillo bidding adieu.
Class of 2020, I have the great honor of giving the farewell. I promise not to be too long. I wanted to thank those performers for those wonderful performances, and again, a testament to the great talents of this class. And I wanted to thank Mr. Hild for your thoughtful and excellent speech. I was going to offer a few parting words to the class of 2020, and I guess I wanted us to think about the fact that we've been living in this virtual world for the last 2 months, and it's likely that there will be more of that in the future, probably particularly in the near future. I think we have all come to appreciate in a very real sense the importance of real in-person connections and relationships. I have felt that loss, and I'm sure you have too. Human beings are hardwired for social connections, the need for social connections. And it should not go unnoticed that scientists had already connected rising rates of depression, feelings of alienation, and anxiety with increased time on smartphones and social media. And now we're living in this world where we're asking more and more of our students and all of us to engage in those platforms rather than in the real human experiences. So my hope for you as you go out and you manage in a world that is uncertain, and that once we put COVID-19 well behind us in the rearview mirror, and we're able to walk together hand in hand and dance together and enjoy each other's company in person, that you redouble your efforts to value and maintain those real relationships. Put your phones away more often. Create sacred spaces where you can connect with nature or connect with a friend in person. You will enjoy life more, and you will be happier. As Henry David Thoreau understood way back in 1854, when an apple was still just a fruit, he said, "I went to the woods to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, to discover that I had not lived. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily as to put to rout all that was not life." So class of 2020, go suck out the marrow of life, and as often as possible, do so in person. As a final farewell, thank you, class of 2020, for your energy, your humor, your kindness, and even the way that you pushed us sometimes and made us better people. You certainly made us better coaches, teachers, advisors, administrators, and though we're excited for you as you head off to an exciting future, we're very sad to see you go. Your teachers, parents, family members, and friends have been rooting for all of you for so many years now, and we will miss seeing you every day. Know that our doors will always be open for you here at Kingswood Oxford, and we will always think of this class in a very special way. I also believe firmly that your class will have a special bond because you've had this trial together. We can't wait to hear about your adventures. Come back and say hello, and I will leave you with a somewhat overused Gaelic blessing, but overused perhaps for good reason. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Thank you, class of 2020. All the best, and don't forget to thank your parents.